Hello everyone, and welcome back to another episode of My Journey, the series where I showcase some of my most recent Track of the Day author medals in my ongoing effort to achieve them all. Starting us out in volume number 32 today will be the track from March 5th of 2026, and that is Ochre Ridge made by Supernova. Now, this track here definitely caused me a little bit of a struggle to get the AT on, although it still didn't take me all too long to get it, taking just 13 minutes, so really, it wasn't all that bad. But for whatever reason, especially on the later half of this track with the drifts, I just could not really figure them out. I was just constantly undersliding them or oversliding them, and there is also one that goes uphill that I definitely got a fair amount of no slides on, which I don't think is particularly the track's fault. I think I was just a little bit rusty coming into this track, and overall, I do think this was a fairly solid track. My 639th author medal came on the track Petrify made by Will Ignaz, and it was the track of the day on March 7th of 2026. Petrify was a pretty laid-back full-speed track, at least in terms of the AT, as unlike a lot of the full-speed tracks that we get nowadays that are super heavily hunted with speed slides at every single opportunity, on this one, probably need one or two speed slides in order to get the AT, and you can see that in my run, I really don't go for many of them. I got one or two early on, and that was pretty much all I cared to get for the rest of the track, because I knew I did not need any more. But yeah, a very laid-back, full-speed track, and it definitely was made a little bit more enjoyable because of that. And speaking of a fairly forgiving AT here, next up we have Equals P or Smiley Face made by Slidelock, and it was the track of the day on March 9th of 2026. Now, just like the previous track in full speed, ice ATs lately have been super hunted as well, so that made this one all more surprising that it was so darn easy, with an AT time of 48 seconds on this one, and my PB of almost 44 seconds, tons of room for error on this one, and it didn't take all too long to get it either, just 3 minutes, so I mean, it does take a little bit of, attempts on it to try to learn the route, as some of the turns are super tight, but if you know ice even just a little bit, you should be able to get this one. Next up, for my 641st author medal, we have the track NAVC Viper made by Numberplay, and it was the track of the day on the following day, March 10th of 2026. So Viper is going to be your pretty typical mixed track of the day, pretty mundane, and honestly not a whole lot going on with this one, and usually I'm pretty okay with them. I think they're all fine. I usually give them a plus, but this one, I don't think really any of the drifts on it were all that great. I found pretty much all of them to be very awkward to perform, and really that's my biggest gripe about the track, just the drifts did not feel great to perform, and yeah, that was definitely the biggest downfall of this one. For the next track here, we have to go back to August 5th of 2020 with Melting Away by Kyle. This track, sort of like the first track, caused me way more struggle than I would have liked, but even more so on this one, and I really don't know what was causing me so many problems on this one, as the track really doesn't seem all that difficult in hindsight, but yeah, it took me about 20 minutes to get this one, which is a little bit disappointing to say the least, but overall I did somewhat enjoy this one, and the icy drifts on it were certainly different and unique. Now for my 643rd author medal, we have the track Arrakko made by Denality, and it was the track of the day on July 25th of 2025. This will probably be the third or fourth Denality track that we have driven, and honestly, I don't think any of them have been all that great, but this one is probably the best of the bunch, so there's that. Also, at least all of the ATs on their tracks, from what I recall, have been pretty free, so I'll take that as well. This track here, not the most exciting thing in the world. For the most part, it's just pretty boring with not much going on. It's also a very long track as well, with the AT being over 1 minute long, which I'm not the biggest fan of super long tracks either. I'm also not the biggest fan of having a giant speed check at the very end of your track. I don't think that was a very good idea either. Next up, we have a rare appearance for a lull track with a crumpled up piece of paper, which was made by Loon, and it was the track of the day on August 1st of 2025. So for this one and a lot of lull tracks, it's really hard to say much about them and give any real critique, as they're really not meant to be taken seriously. Still, with that being said, either you like lull tracks or you don't, and for me, I'm not a huge lull track enjoyer, and the same could be said for this track here. And honestly, by the time I was done driving this one, I was kind of glad it was over, as I was really sick of getting slowdowns, I was really sick of flipping over, and it was really starting to get annoying. So yeah, not my favorite track in the world, not terrible, not great, it is what it is. Next up, for my 645th author medal, we have the track A Hint of Purple, made by Pama de Ta, and it was the track of the day on March 19th of 2026. So A Hint of Purple is probably the most difficult AT in today's video, at least going by the amount of other players that have the AT on it, though I did still struggle on this one more than I would have liked, taking 18 minutes to get it, and it was due in large part to the dirt turn that we just went through there. It was super tight, super awkward, and then after the turn you also have to worry about hitting a couple of dirt bump corners, which was also really annoying to try to avoid. This grass part here was also very difficult to hold the gear on, and all in all, I just don't think it was the most well-crafted track. My next author medal came on Amethyst Castle, made by Banano, and it was released on August 27th of 2020. Amethyst Castle was a tech track, but it had a ton of transitions on it, which definitely made it more enjoyable than your typical tech track. Although some of the transitions I do feel could hinder the track a little bit, as some of them were speed checks that otherwise would be rather difficult to make, especially opening the track with one where if you crash at all, you just cannot jump over the fence, so that was not fantastic. Also, there was one other drift in this track that was basically completely blind, so that was not great either, but yeah, I did enjoy driving this track. My 647th and final author medal I achieved in today's video came on the track Coda, which was made by Asfer, and again it released in August of 2020, this one releasing on the 28th. Now, Coda is another track where I do wish I got the AT on it a little bit quicker. It took me 14 minutes, which really, always, is not all too long. But yeah, I do wish I could get these easier ones a little bit quicker. I'm just not the fastest learner in the world. But as far as the track itself goes here, I did enjoy it. It was a little bit different. Unfortunately, it does have a lot of speed checks on it, where some of the respawns just straight up don't work, which I guess isn't as big of a deal because I don't think Cup of the Day was out at this point, but it's still not great. Now for a new addition into the series, I'll be adding a work in progress track, at least whenever I have a chance to do so, and this week's work in progress track is Future Valley, made by Nova Terrorsh. Now, all things considered, this track isn't all too bad, but because of the bobsleigh and ice update a few years ago, this one has been made far more difficult to achieve, and in my about 2 hours and 30 minutes trying to get this one so far, I've gotten to just over a tenth of a second away from AT, so very, very close, and I'm hoping to get this one pretty soon, as it is my last track from August of 2020 that I've yet to get the AT on. But with that, we will conclude Volume 32 here today. As always, if you are interested in driving any of the tracks you saw, there will be links in the description to all of them, and you can also find them in my in-game club called Club Teuty. I also hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, be sure to give it a like and subscribe so you don't miss out on any in the future. Thank you all so much for watching, and I hope to see you all next time with Volume 33.